Good morning, good morning. It's about six-ish, and the sun about to come up. I need to go out there and watch the sunrise, really, um, like I was doing before. But I was just sitting back thinking about different things. Make sure that you like and subscribe before the video's over. Anywho, I'm sitting there thinking about some different things as far as my money, my time, and how I'm spending both of those things. And usually, late night, early morning is my great time for reflection and whatnot. So I had this thought, and I'm like, man, if I'm thinking this, it's gotta possibly be on somebody else's mind or something that other people need to understand as well. So let me share. The free game here is about budgeting and the importance of it and what are the things that we deem are important. So a lot of times when people hear the term budget, if they've ever even, heard about it or learned about it, they think of course, it's just about money and, how much they can't spend. We always hear balling on a budget. If you got a budget, you broke, or this will out of your budget. You ain't got enough. But budgeting is important whether you have a lot or not, because budgeting is not just something that you do when you are poor. It's also something that you do when you are rich, or when you are in whatever class that you're in. It's something that you do when you're trying to make sure that the money that you are making and the money that you have coming in is going out to where it needs to go, when it needs to go there, regularly and without a hiccup, because that in turn decreases the amount of stress that you would be if those particular things were still looming over your head from not being paid. So, and there'll be a later video where I will go over, where I'll be sitting in front of you and you'll be seeing my beautiful face, and I'll have a board going over budgeting in a more detailed way as far as the budget itself. But right now I just want to talk about the purpose and the reasons for it. A lot of times we won't do things if we don't think there's a purpose or reason or it's important, and especially if we're tying it with fearfulness, or if we're tying it with, oh, I'm poor, I'm broke, I don't have. Sometimes it's easier for people to be like, well, I'm gonna just spend what I'm gonna spend, and let the chips fall where they may. But that's not the proper way to do it, and that usually results in us repeating the same cycles that keep us in the financial position that we are in, or that we have been in for however long. So budgeting is more so about, like, I have this amount of money that I bring in, and this amount of money is going out. How much is left over for me to do additional things? How much do I really need? And also, what do I want to do with my money? The problem is a lot of times, what I was just thinking about for myself, that have been an issue for me with budgeting over the past few years, that I've learned that how important budgeting is that I was always including my needs and necessities in my budget, and not really telling the truth when it comes to that miscellaneous items line of my budget. Your budget, you'll have, your gross income, and then, of course, your net, because you want to start with your gross because you need to know, like, this is what I'm really bringing in, and then your net income. And this is, of course, if you work for an employer. If you have your own business, your gross income will be, what was the full revenue for your business, and then your net will be calculated a little differently because, if it's a business, you might have different things coming out for different things. It's not even related to you. It might be, your employees or whatever. So that's slightly different. I'm talking about for people who have employees. And if you've actually, with business, if you've structured your business right and you have made yourself like an employee, you still can kind of do your budget this way. So, gross, net, and then after what your net is, of course, after taxes have came out, after, FICA, Social Security, if Social Security is taken out, all that kind of stuff, your benefits, whatever that you may have with your employer is taken out, then you have your net income. And from that, then you deduct, what's my rent, what's my mortgage, how much is the utilities, do I have a car note, do I have insurance, am I paying back other bills like credit cards, any and everything that you're regularly paying on a monthly basis, child care costs. But we also don't always put in there transportation costs. How much are you spending on gas? And be realistic with that amount. Oh, I only spend like $50 on gas, but really, that if you think about it, you went to the gas station 2-3 times this past week, and it was how much each time? It was $20 each time. It was $30 each time. If you got a decent sized truck or vehicle, it might have been 40, 50, maybe $60 each time that you went. Once, twice a week, or whatever that it was. Living in a big city like Dallas, or anywhere where there's a lot of driving happening, Houston, whatever, that line is going to change sometimes, and that line can definitely be bigger than some of the other ones. Okay, so including the real costs is a lot of people's problems, like, and myself included. So, and also miscellaneous, such as outings. How much do you go out to eat? What do you like to do for entertainment? Do you are you into smoking? Do you smoke cigarettes? Do you drink? Do you do any other recreational anything? You know what I mean? Like, you have to include everything in your budget if you really want to count it correctly. What will happen is you'll put like well, I'm gonna use myself as an example. Let's say I put $200 under miscellaneous. But then I look back and I'm like, well, I know I like to go to the movies. I know I like to go skating, go, do different things with my kids when they're both here. Take my daughter and her friends somewhere, or they have sleepover and I bought pizzas and chicken and took them somewhere to, like, that stuff has to be included in your budget. You went to the club, you spent this on drinks, you got the wings, you got the chicken fingers, whatever that you called it. That adds up. And when we don't include those additional costs in our budget, when we don't go back to the drawing board for our budget, and we look at it later like, why I don't got this? sometimes we'll look at it closely while we're up, especially in the beginning when you first start budgeting and getting into it and really understanding it. But as you go, you might just have a budget just there. It's like an outline. No, your budget needs to be a thing that you revisit at least on a monthly basis or on a every 2 week basis if you get paid bi-weekly. However, whatever frequency that you get paid in, you need to be revisiting it at least at up on that time, or when something is added or subtracted, go back to it and redo it. Go back to it and make sure that those numbers are accurate, because if you do that right, you will see where you're losing. If your miscellaneous column, if your entertainment outings and stuff like that, I understand life is about experiences, not just making money just to pay bills, but we also understand that that's a part of it. So you have to be able to sustain those things, or else there's going to end up being a lot more pain, stress, struggle on yourself if you don't maintain that. So it's like, get that out the way, and then let's say you still have 1,000 left over to do these other things, whatever it is that you want to do, going out with your family, out to eat, whatever. Let's say you have 2,000. Let's say you have 500. Let's say you have whatever the amount is for you. You have to understand how that needs to be distributed, or what are the more important things you need to be doing with that money. um Sometimes your miscellaneous column, your entertainment, your food, whatever, that is not part of groceries. Okay, because groceries, that should be a constant. This is what we're spending a week on groceries. It's normally 100 a week, 150, and it's for you to stay within those guidelines. Not, oh, my budget says we spend 100 a week on groceries, but I'm gonna go spend 150 or 200. You're over your budget. Now you have to then deduct from what? You can't deduct from your rent, can't deduct from your mortgage, can't deduct from the taxes on your house, can't deduct, you still gotta pay that shit. So what do you have to deduct from? Your miscellaneous, your entertainment, your other things. So if you don't stay within budget on those constants, on those things that you have to do, it should take away from the miscellaneous. Problem is that we will still try to do all miscellaneous stuff after we have gone over budget for the things that are supposed to be constants. That's where the problem happens. That's where the issue comes in. And I'm telling on myself, I've done it. And for me to be someone who knows as much about money as I do, I know damn well that a lot of other people do this too. Okay. So it's definitely something you got to be honest with yourself about. When I got to thinking about, like, okay, now I have to decrease from this, I also thought about, well, what if I stayed within the guidelines of what I'm supposed to be doing, spending, whatever, and instead of the miscellaneous being the amount that it is for that, why not increase what I'm investing? Why not try to find, because everything doesn't have to cost money. All the fun shit does not have to cost money. There's ways to do things that are cheaper. We have Groupon. If you mingle and talk with other people and network, you can, get discount codes on different things. Join some groups. I just recently was on some group on Facebook, and some lady had a code for an aquarium that's like this huge aquarium in Fort Worth, and it was like conservation. And I want to say it's still something, so I'll put that in the description just so you can try it to see if it's still a thing. So if you're in the DFW area, check this out. but the code was conservation. Those tickets would have been like, it would have been total for a family of four, like almost $100. And it made everything free. There was no taxes, there was no nothing, you know. And we're going to the aquarium like in a couple weeks because we got a trip coming up for something else. But if you get creative and look around for things, you can still enjoy a lot of life without having to spend a ton of money to do it. Okay, um, get in nature, touch some grass, people. Like, it's free. Go to some parks. Go, do some recreational stuff that is not inside of a building. If weather in your city permits. Um, do that type of stuff as much as possible. Go and get some things that you buy them once and they're yours. Go get some sporting equipment, get you some basketball, some tennis rackets, and take your kids to the park and do all these different things. I see all these parks all the time that are empty, and they have tennis courts and basketball diamonds, and nobody's out there. Like, what is that? Um, I saw there's a tennis court not too far from my house, and the way that courts are flat and stuff, um, you can roller skate on them really easily. So since no one was out there playing tennis, I saw a young girl one day when I was taking a walk roller skating, and I was like, cool. Like, but usually you think, oh, we going skating, we got to pay this to get in, we got to, rent the skates or whatever. I go on Amazon or go to like a Skechers store or any of these stores that, sell skates, buy me and my daughter some skates, and buy my son some skates when he's in town. And we go over there and skate sometimes, to have something just to do. You got to be creative and come up with different things that decrease your costs. Not to say that you're not doing these expensive things or things that cost you money at all, but if you just decrease those costs, you can use that to grow somewhere else. So, what I'm going to do for me going forward, I know that with my employer, like I already have like we teachers have a retirement system, so it's automatically things taken out for that. So I'm good there, and I also have an individual retirement account. Well, the IRA contribution this year, it changed, or was it last year? Either it was 2022 or 23. I think it was 23 that it changed, where instead of it being the max of 5,500 a year you could put in, the max is 6,500 you could put in. I have not reached that max yet. Okay, so I'm like, okay, with my miscellaneous, I could put more money towards my investing instead of going to do this. I could invest it in that. When you sit back and think about all the partying or different outings that you've had, those are great memories, yes, of course. But as you get older, you start to think about how much time is behind you and how little time you have in front of you. And you think about all the money that you spent, all the stuff you did, all the time you didn't necessarily waste, but kind of wasted, because if you would have been putting aside a little back then, you will have a lot now. If you would have been investing then, you will have thousands, millions now. We all know about the, Bitcoin. If I would have put in just them little few thousand from some income tax or whatever, when Bitcoin was just, starting, and someone first told me about it, and I still didn't know a lot about stocks, was skeptical. If I would have put that money in then, I would be someone totally different now. So thinking about your here and now to your future. My free game to you is, think about the now, but also think about the future and think about what you could do with what you're making now that's going to enhance your future beyond what investments that you may have with your employer, beyond any other investments that you may have. Think about other things that your coin is being used for that you could turn into something free or cheaper, and then take those same coins that you were spending on said things, said outings, said whatever miscellaneous activity that it was, and put it towards something that's going to be more meaningful. Because when you get 65, 70, and you still, we're living longer, we're eating differently, we're going to the doctor, we exercising, we doing all the things, we're getting our mental and emotional health together, we're doing our shadow work, we're doing all these wonderful things that are helping us literally live longer. As we've seen, you get to those higher ages, you don't want to keep having to work, even though you might physically be able to, and you want to just enjoy your time with your mate, your spouse, your kids, your grandkids, whatever. And you gotta have some money to do that shit, because even if your home, which should be, is paid off by then, you still have to pay taxes, you still have to pay utilities, you still have to, you still have to sustain different things, even though your costs will decrease. If you have built while you were younger, as you get older, you don't have to worry about it. The foundation, the scaffolding, the walls, the drywall, the concrete, everything, the roof, the house is built. The house of your money is built and is solid. If you spending all your miscellaneous, if you spending all the extra money that you made over and above your bills on bullshit, on something that's not making you any money, you're gonna be kicking yourself when you get older. Just saying. And your job retirement is not enough. You think it's enough, and it might seem like it's gonna be enough, but you need another pot. You need another bucket. We've always heard, the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Relying on just your job's retirement, relying on, oh, well, my employer said that they match us dollar for dollar. Relying on that's an egg, that's your eggs, and that's your bucket. Get some more buckets. Use the miscellaneous stuff to make you another bucket, another basket, so you can have another place to put them eggs in and grow them in. I hope that makes sense. But that was my thought this morning. I was just sitting back, thinking to myself about some different ways that I want to structure things, different goals that I have. Speaking of goals, just because you work for an employer, or even if you don't, if you're self-employed, or you're sole proprietor, or you have a more established business that's an LLC or a corporation, you still need to have some separate things. You still need to have some separate basket for those eggs. Because if your only basket is your business, what happens if something happens with that? You have to be structuring and dividing and diversifying where your coin is going, and diversifying that portfolio as much as possible. Make sure that you have some life insurance, and that ought to be aligned in your budget. If you're paying for that, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, all those things, which normally your insurance and your taxes and your mortgage can be rolled into one amount. But let's say it's not. You itemize that out as well in your budget. But again, that's another video for another day where I'll go into more detail and like actually show you a budget just to make sure we all, got it. But if you're, still not sure about what a budget is or anything like that, I'm gonna go ahead and also put some links for like Nerd Wallet in the description as well. So I hope you learned something. Like and subscribe. Y'all have a wonderful, beautiful, blessed Sunday. Free game.